with me, I have Holly Grace Feingold. She has completed 3 nursing programs here at ECPI, her most recent being her MSN in November of 2023. Thank you so much for joining me, Holly Grace.
You're so welcome. Pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So we are going to go ahead and dig into the questions, hear more about your career and your experiences at ECPI. So what are you currently doing for work?
I am currently working as a nurse practitioner in the urgent care setting. I graduated in November. I took my boards in January and then started my first job in March.
Great. And in your job as a nurse practitioner, what are some of the daily job duties that you have?
So I see patients every day of all ages, infants all the way up to geriatrics. We are urgent care, so we see primary care patients to all the way up to a higher acuity patient that needs to be referred to the emergency department. So anything in between that there as well we see, and I see on a daily basis.
Yeah. What's your favorite part about what you do?
My favorite part is obviously, serving the patients, especially like if a child comes in and, assuring the parents that their child's being taken care of. That's a good feeling. And I would say the most rewarding feeling is when you catch something that others didn't catch, or you're catching it for the first time. And then, you're able to get that patient to a specialist to be evaluated and treated. And this just happened just yesterday for a pretty severe eye condition. And what was so awesome is the patient called back and said, I got into the eye doctor. Thank you for helping me get in. And this is what I was diagnosed with. And I just want to thank you. And, calls like that just make your day. So
Yeah.
it's what you're there to do. So, yeah.
That's so great. That can be obviously life-saving for people.
Mhm.
So being the person to be able to diagnose that, I'm
Well, I
sure.
didn't diagnose, so we're at urgent care. So
Oh, you
sometimes
recognized
I
the
recognize there's
issue.
something very wrong here, and I need to get you to somebody quick.
Sent them to be diagnosed.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you just started in March of this year. How was that transition like for you going from nurse to nurse practitioner?
So for me, it felt very natural. I was very well prepared. In the program, you had to do several rotations and more than several, but I saw in excess of 1,000 patients or more in my MP program during my rotations.
Wow.
And in addition to my nursing experience and being on the floor seeing patients for, as long as I've been a nurse. So I was really ready to step into the position. And, I feel really good, walking into where I am, the spot that I'm in. It's a good spot to start my practice, and I couldn't be happier.
What classes that you took at ECPI, specifically in your MSN program, that have helped you the most in what you do now?
Yeah, so I think the classes that you take along the way, like while you're in them, you may be thinking to yourself, ugh, healthcare statistics, gross. And it's a difficult class, but it helps you to understand the research, so that, when you're pulling evidence-based practice, you really can understand the research and the studies and what research you should be paying attention to. So that was very valuable to me. The advanced patho physiology class was important, advanced physical assessment, advanced pharmacology. All of those classes were really important to continue the building blocks and the knowledge that you need to be successful as a provider. So, yeah, I would say those classes were very key for me.
Yeah. I like that you said that sometimes when you are in the program and you have a class, you're like, ugh, this class doesn't seem like it's going to apply
Yeah.
to my actual career. But I think hearing that it's so important for your career is really good for our students to hear as well.
Yes, and there's a method to the madness.
Yeah.
So you do have to stay the course, and just, grind through it day in, day out, and just, look at everything with the glass half full and know that there is a method to the madness, because at the end of the day, it all makes sense, and it
Mhm.
all correlates, and and it's all building on each other.
Yeah. So,
Sorry for my phone, sorry.
no, you're okay. So let's go back to before you enrolled to get your RN.
Mhm.
Um, why nursing? Why was that the profession that you were hoping to pursue?
So that's a twofold answer, actually threefold. I knew that I wanted to be a provider, but I ended up working in healthcare, on the administration side. And life is like a train. You're on the train, and then you have a train stop, and hopefully at one of those stops you can get off and actually do what it is you really want to do. So um, there was that passion to become a provider. And then I had a dear friend that was my age that got cancer, and I went out to California to take care of her. And she really encouraged me to pursue what it is that I'm passionate about, and that it's never too late to do so. So because of her words of encouragement, that was instrumental in me actually taking action and actually, doing it. So that and then the third thing is I did take a test, and later in life I took a test to see what my aptitudes were, and my number one aptitude, like what best job I'm most suited for, was actually nurse practitioner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I knew going into this that my final destination was going to be nurse practitioner. But
Gotcha.
obviously, you have to set the goals to go from step one to step two to step three to step four. And so that's what I had to do.
Yeah. So when you enrolled for your RN, you knew that the
I
ultimate goal was going to be getting your MSN.
That's correct.
Okay. Um, so why ECPI?
Well, I moved back to Virginia. Virginia is my home state. So I moved back to Virginia. I was an LPN at that time, and I really just wanted to get back in and go back to school as soon as possible. I didn't want to be put on a waiting list. I didn't want to wait a year or two. I just wanted to get started. So ECPI offered that opportunity for me to start as soon as possible. So I was really thrilled about it. They're accredited. We all take the same exam, the same board exams all across the United States. So I felt confident enough to start the program knowing that, at the end of the day, I'm going to sit for my boards and I'm going to pass my RN boards. So, and then, I stayed because I really enjoyed the program. I understood how the school, the Canvas works, the computer system, and also the communication with the instructors were always positive. So I just felt like this is where I belonged to as I continue my journey, because I felt very supported.
Yeah, that's great to hear. So you mentioned you kind of liked the structure and the way things were run at ECPI. Some people can get a little overwhelmed with the fast-paced environment. How did that work for you?
So I had to be very disciplined in my study time
Yeah.
and how I used my spare time. I also had to be, mindful of my work schedule and not to work too much, because, there are points in a program where it can become very difficult. So you just have to be prepared that it's a possibility, especially in the NP, the MSN program, there's a possibility that there's a portion in that program that you may not want to work, and just focus on the program and the school, which is what I did for the last 6 months of the program, which I'm very glad that I did, because it became, it's rigorous. So I wanted, obviously, you've come so far, it's you just do what you have to do, and you find the way to make it work financially. Student loans are always an option. So, student loans helped bridge that gap of the time that I wasn't working.
Yeah.
So it allowed me to finish the program strong as needed without working. So, and then just nursing school in general, like you're living, breathing, eating, drinking, sleeping, nursing, and it's a sacrifice that you make, but it's once you've reached your goals, like you look back and you think, wow, that was crazy. I went through all of that, but it's so well worth it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, you completed the MSN program in November, you took your boards, and then you started working in March. What was that job search process like for you? Did you have something lined up already? Were you searching around, for a good place?
So I felt that I should concentrate on studying for boards
Mhm.
and passing my boards.
Yeah.
I did send a few job applications out to, like, on LinkedIn, easy apply jobs where it didn't require the time for me to go through and fill out a very long application. So I did that a few times just to get like feedback, and then I interviewed a few times and just to also improve my interview skills. I think that
Yeah.
was important for me. And then once I passed my boards, I really actually seriously started to pursue it. And there's like three major players here in Richmond: hospital systems. I have worked for two out of the three as a nurse, as an RN. So I applied to both systems, and I ended up getting an offer from one of those systems. And it's actually a great place for me, and it feels like family. And that's really important, that you choose a place to work that it feels good, it feels right for you.
Yeah.
So
That's where you're spending a lot of your time. You want to make sure
yeah,
you're
so
happy.
it happened, and they gave me an opportunity, and I feel very fortunate. They did say they don't normally hire new grads, but I'm thrilled, and I'm proving them every day that it was the right hire.
So you've taken your NCLEX, obviously, and then you had your board test for family nurse practitioner. So what can you explain going and taking the exam? What advice do you have um, for taking your boards? What should
So
we
for
expect?
the RN boards, I obviously recommend. I think ECPI does a great job at preparing RN students to be successful on the boards with the use of Saunders and ATI. Those questions are very aligned with what you're going to be asked on the NCLEX. So as long as you are obviously doing what you're supposed to be doing when you're in the program, and you're doing your studying at home in your spare time, and I think you're going to do fine on your boards. The nurse practitioner boards, it's a little bit different. You will be more successful if you take a review course, which is what I did. And I don't know of any other students in a nurse practitioner program that I became close with or met that were not doing a review course. So I did a review course. Obviously, it was recommended that I do that by the ECPI program administrators. And I did that, and it helped me pass my boards.
Good. That's
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
Um, so let's talk about overall someone who is coming into the MSN program or they already are in the MSN program. What is some good advice that you would have for them?
So, first and foremost, when the program starts, it depends on when you were last in school. So, if you were in school for a while and you start school, it might be a little bit of a jolt. So just know that it's like riding a bike. Eventually, you know how to ride a bike. It just takes a little time to get on that bike and start riding again. And, oh, I got this. So just be patient with that first class or two. Also, the other advice I would say is that reach out to your instructor, especially at the beginning of the program. If you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed or struggling, I did that in the beginning of the MSN program, and I'm so glad that I did. My instructor was very receptive and encouraging, and she helped me get over that hump in the beginning of like, what, this is very difficult, because it is a leap. It's a leap from BSN to MSN. There is a leap. So you just have to be patient and just be truly dedicated to what it is that you are trying to accomplish.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great advice. Well, thank you so much, Holly Grace, for answering these questions.
You're
I
welcome.
really appreciate your time.
Sure. No problem. Thank you.